Come on in. I started up a second live. I think YouTube did something and messed with my first one. So hopefully I'm not shadow banned. Come on in. Come on in. Like the video, we will pick back up where we left off. We are getting into the unemployment numbers for the US. Come on in. Come on in. Let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hey, what's up, Don? You said late, but I would listen, Don. You coming in on my second? That I had another live going and was on there for maybe like an hour, and it looks like YouTube, I think, did something funky. You know, they be messing with me, and yeah, I had to start a new live. So you're the first one on live number 2. What's up, Shelly? Y'all come on in. Let me get my poll together. Let me get my new poll together. The last poll I had on the other live stream was, you can go back, see if it'll let you complete. It may not let you complete it since I ended the live, but the question was, do you support Trump sending in the 850 officers and agents to DC to fight crime? So that was the question on that. When I left off, it was like 42% that was saying yes, and that were saying yes and support. I think it was like 50% saying no. And it was like 6% that was saying I don't know. So you all can go back, checked out the live that was before this one, after this one, and to be a part of the replay gang to see what we were talking about over there. But yeah, that was a question. So now I got a lot of questions, y'all. So I'm gonna put a different question in here. All right, so we just started a new poll. I think YouTube's messing with my live stream. Y'all know how it be. But that's okay. So I just started a new poll. So I want to, where I left off on my last live, I was just getting into the data centered around the job market. Because the Trump administration is like, yo, like inflation is down, there's jobs, unemployment, it's going down. The growth in jobs month over month, it's going up, and it's kind of the opposite of what a lot of other people are saying. Other experts in the field, other economists are saying. So I was getting into an article, and we'll go back over there, and I'll about the current, what the numbers are looking like. And I'm just trying to understand, like, what's missing. Are we Gucci or not? Like, what's the deal? And I want for you all in the chat, if you can let me know and just do a temperature check, for one, complete the survey, but also let me know in the chat, like, how do you feel about this current economy, job market, based off of your personal experience, what you're seeing people, family, friends, loved ones go through, the news, the media, Do you feel like confident that we're pacing in the right direction? Do you feel concerned? So in the in the chat, type in strong job market, strong economy, and then if you feel like we're good, just type in we're good. And if you feel like, nah, we struggling here, type in we down bad. We down bad. So I want to understand. So the best way I know to do it is to just kind of get into the data, the numbers, because I hear what the Trump administration is saying, but it also, I need for it to kind of make sense to me. So I want to see just the data, like what is the numbers? What they say, listen, they normally say the numbers don't lie, but child, we've been finding that these numbers just ain't been numbering right. And Trump said, listen, folks playing with these numbers, they lying. So it's like, who's telling the lie? Who's lying? Are the numbers being fudged? Like, are the numbers really better than what they're being reported, which is what the Trump administration are saying? Are y'all like, nah, that lady Erica, that was the lady who Trump fired, who apparently backtracked, I guess, for the May and June numbers. She kind of backpedaled, was like, I know I reported these numbers, but after looking at more information, we had to tweak them, and then they went kind of down. So Trump's like, you're fired. He was on his Apprentice. You're fired. For old time's sake. He hit her with the Apprentice. You're fired. So I want to get into it. So y'all let me know, strong economy or bad economy. Let me know in the chat. We're going to talk about it, because y'all know, with this media, a lot of times you take it with a grain of salt. That's why I say you got to move around. You got to move around to really try to get down to the truth, because the truth is somewhere out there. It's like digging for gold. It's somewhere out there, but you just can't stop at just one platform. You kind of got to keep listening to what's been said, using common sense and discernment. How about that? This article. So right now I'm on csnbc.com. It says CNBC. This is CNBC.com if you want to know where I'm looking at. U.S. added 73,000 jobs in July, and numbers for prior months were revised much lower. Much lower. Job growth averaged 35,000 in the past 3 months when accounting for the revised data. By contrast, job growth averaged 111,000 per month in the first 3 months of 2025. New jobs have also largely been concentrated in the healthcare and social assistance sectors, meaning opportunities haven't been broad-based, economists said. The data does tell a completely different story about the job market than what we were originally thinking, Glassdoor Zhao said in an interview. Quote, we had been under the impression the job market was holding up surprisingly resiliently against the economic headwinds like tariffs. Also, I talked about it when I, got excited about the numbers. I think so. This was in July, going off of the initial data, the data that has since been revised, that May and June data, when they said that there were more jobs available and things like that. A lot of it was attributed to the immigration roundup. People were thinking like, okay, wow, with the immigration roundup, people not being able to show up to work because either they running scared, trying to hide, don't want ICE to roll up on them, or they actually were apprehended. Suddenly there was just these jobs, these jobs that were open. Y'all, I don't know what's going on with YouTube. YouTube's keep just playing with the numbers. So please like the videos, you come on in, complete the survey. But yeah, we're here. This is take 2. This is the second part of my live. After this one, please go and check the first part 1, because we're getting into some things. And what happens over here is when we get into some things, YouTube will start messing with the data, because we get into things in a way that a lot of other platforms don't. And that's not viewed as a good thing when it comes to, YouTube, but it is what it is. The numbers don't lie, and thousands of people come over here to listen to this information that I share throughout the week. So like the video, share, subscribe, and just get comfortable, engage, comment. Right now, the question is, how do you feel about the economy, the U.S. economy, the job market, inflation, all of that? Are you like, listen, we're good, we're going in the right direction? Are you like, no, Sheik, like we're down bad, things are getting worse, we got this big, beautiful Bill Act, Medicaid is gone to hell, Section 8, EBT, listen, talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So talk about how are you feeling? We're talking right now specifically about jobs right now in this article. Because it's basically saying the numbers aren't matching up to what Carol B. Lyon Levitt, the Trump administration, is saying. They're like, yo, no, that's not true. So we're trying to figure it out. President Donald Trump announced a spat of new tariffs on Thursday, putting fresh import duties on several trading partners ranging from 10% to 41%. Tariffs are taxes that U.S. companies pay on items they import. Tariffs, when kept in place for a long term, generally raise prices for consumers and pressure profits for many businesses by raising their input costs, economics says. Additionally, on again, off again approach to tariff creates uncertainty for businesses, leading many to pull back on hiring. The tariff situation, let's talk about it. Do you see it being, do you see this situation with these tariffs and the fluctuation, the constant going up and down? Do you see it being more harmful to the U.S. economy versus favorable? Because right here, it's saying that the situation with the tariffs, it's more likely it's to have a negative impact on the U.S. economy. It creates uncertainty for businesses, which makes sense to me. Shelley says, there have been at least people I know that were working in the Fed government for 30 plus years plus and no, don't have jobs. Kids are in college, mortgage, and people really are hurting here. Well, some are. So it's hard, as I say out here on this channel, it's hard out here for a pimp, y'all. It's hard out here. So look at this graph, U.S. unemployment rate that says from January 2021 to July 2025. So in 21, it went up to 6%. So that was like the height of the pandemic. So then in 22, it kind of dropped down. And then it's been kind of slowly climbing up. July 24, it was at what, 4.3. As of July of 2025, it's at 4.2. We are on the CNBC.com if you want to know where I'm pulling this data from. CNBC.com. The national hiring rate is around its lowest since 2014. So that's going like pre-pandemic since 2014, outside of the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. The first time I was laid off from my job was in, the first time was in 2000 and maybe 3, and then the second time I was laid off was in 2011. So that was the second time. I've been laid off twice, so the second time was 2011. So right now they're saying the national hiring rate is around its lowest since 2014. How many of you all remember, have any memory of what the job market was like in 2014? Because that is what they're comparing the times of today to 2014. Quote, it's hard for people to make a decision or change in the face of so much uncertainty. Tariff policy says, Rich said, tariff policy compounds other headwinds, such as immigration policy that has reduced the amount of available workers, cuts to federal workforce and government spending, and higher interest rates. So to me, given that there were so many people, government workers, who lost their jobs just for the first half of the year, it makes sense to me for the job market to actually not look so great, just going off of just the large number of people that we know who lost their jobs. So with that discussion, and then someone throwing in, oh, we're good, the job market is great, people, we got jobs out here, it's not making sense, because there's so many people at one time who found themselves outside of work, who found themselves without a job. high degree of stagnation in job market. There are other concerning signs in the U.S. job market, economist says. For example, the labor force participation rate fell to its lowest level since 2022. Thomas Ryan, North American economist at Capital Economics, wrote in a note on Friday, this is potentially further evidence of President Trump's immigration crackdown, keeping undocumented migrants away from the labor market, even though they remain in the country. So what they're saying is that, okay, we got a lot of illegal immigrants that are still here, but many are running scared because we've recently seen ICE jumping out of the Penske truck. Penske like, listen, we don't know what these folks be doing with these trucks when they rent them. They ain't got nothing to do with us. As long as they pay their little deposit, return the truck at the time they need to return it by. Listen, that's all we be concerned about. But we are not playing any parts in whatever they doing centered around ICE with these Penske trucks. But y'all, did y'all see the ICE workers hopping out of the Penske truck, y'all, over the weekend? I wasn't ready. Am I Kevin Hart? I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I'm like, okay, so when they hop out the Penske truck, are they grabbing up the illegal immigrants and then throwing them in the truck too with them, and then they all hauling, driving off into the sunset? Like, I'm just trying to understand because I just wasn't ready. I just was confused. So they're saying like a lot of people, illegal immigrants, they're not showing up to work because they're running scared. They're fearful. So with that being said, that's why I thought like last month when I talked about how the numbers were looking great because the illegal immigrants weren't there to work the jobs. Like they were hiding, they were running scared, or they was already arrested or whatever. So it freed up a lot of jobs. But now fast forward to August, we're learning that, May and June numbers, they were flawed. And the numbers weren't numbering the way it was put out there. Like, so they like, oops, like, let me just get this number 2 pencil and erase this and put that. So now it's like, it's a different conversation. So the conversation is, okay, the job market hasn't been doing as well or going as well as being reported. Because all we can go off of is what's being reported. And it came out that it wasn't correct, accurate information that was reported for the months of May and June. Let's carry on. Y'all like the video. It's over 300 of you all in here and 5 likes. I don't know why y'all be doing me like that, but listen, it is what it is. At least just watch the video. I take what I can take over here. The unemployment rate also rose to 4.2% in July, up from 4.1% in June, the BLS reported. How many of y'all in this chat? Any of y'all unemployed? If you are, how long have you been unemployed? Is your spouse, your partner unemployed? Your baby, your child, your son, your dog, your cat? Like, who's unemployed? How long have they been unemployed? Are you seeing that really the job market is trash? Just as bad? Are y'all like, listen, it's P in the job market just like it is in the dating? And what they say is P. What they say is P in the dating pool. Is the job market looking like the dating pool, y'all? That's what I'm trying to know. That's the next poll. Is the job market looking like the dating pool? The share of unemployment Americans who are long-term unemployed, meaning they've been out of work more than 6 months, has increased to nearly 25%. From 21.6% since July 2024. So just July of last year, it was at 21.6%. Now it's at 25% of people who've been unemployed for more than 6 months. So myself, the second time I was laid off, I was employed for right at 12 months, like right exactly at a year. And that was in 2011. I went back to work in 2012. So I was laid off in the fall of 2011, and then I secured employment in the fall of 2012. So it was like literally you all, like 12 months. I was without a job and pretty much looked for employment the entire time. So when I hear like a lot of these people on the internet and they'll talk about how many job applications they completed, resumes they submitted, in comparison to like interviews that they've had, like I know these folks ain't lying, because I experienced it where I used to keep, so anyone who's ever received unemployment and things like that, here in Georgia at least, like you would have to provide like a running log of like the jobs that you applied for, like when, all of the details. So therefore, like each week when I submit for my weekly little unemployment check, my little $242 after tax, like I would have to like provide this information. So I had like this spreadsheet. So I knew like how many jobs and things that I was applying for. You all, it was like well over 100 jobs. And then when I think about like how many interviews I got, it was like maybe three. It wasn't a lot at all. And then the job that I wound up getting was basically a previous employer. So it was the employer I worked for prior to getting laid off from the company I was working for. I just ended up going back and working for that employer. They had since gotten acquired by another company, but I had a connect who was in management there, and that's how I was able to go back there. Now, granted, I had applied for the job and everything, and they were not, I had applied to go back, but they weren't hitting me up because they felt like they could not afford me because since I'd left them, maybe I had been gone maybe about 6, 7 years, they felt like they couldn't afford me. So they weren't responding. Excuse me, they were not responding to me. So my friend who was in management there, she was on her way out. She was about to go into child. Her husband was just retiring her. She was going to go home, kick her heels up and take care of them kids. She went ahead and put a word in for me. And then that's how, told them, hey, I was willing to, you know, have discussions with them centered around pay. And that's what happened. So right now, what they say is not what you know is who you know. So a lot of what's going on in these job markets, it's centered around networking and knowing somebody because there are so many people in situations to where like they're in need of a job. And that was what my situation was. So you have to be resourceful. So I would say for those of you who are in the job market, networking is going to be very, very, very important, meaning dust off your LinkedIn, start connecting with people, having conversations with people who maybe you used to work with, letting them know, making them aware that you're back in the job market. This is the U.S. unemployment rate. So this is the graph from 21 to 25. I'll leave this here so you can see what these numbers are looking like. But it's very important that you just talk to people, make people aware of your situation. So therefore they can help you spread the word. Put your pride aside and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you know somebody? Maybe you used to work for someone and you had a good experience working for them, and make them aware that you're back in the job market. They may be willing to put in a word for you where they're working at, or they may have the control to make the decision to bring you on board. But it's definitely a who you know type situation these days because there are so many people who are in the same situation. So me personally, as I listen to the Trump administration talk about the job market and the jobs being there, this, that, and the third, to me, the math's not mathing. And that's why I want you all to talk about in this chat how, what has the job market, what has your experience been in the job market? I would say as of late, maybe just within the past 12 months. Yeah, because since Trump has been in office, I've learned about a lot of companies who have done layoffs. And it's not necessarily because of him. It's just prior to him taking office for the second term, there were a lot of companies doing layoffs, even during Biden's term, which is why a lot of people were in support of, say, Trump coming in and replacing him because the market was so bad. And people were just like, yo, like, we need better days. Myself and I know many other people voted for Trump because we were like, listen, what the Democrat administration was given, it just like listen, we need something else. Trump, what you talking about? Because Biden, what's going on over here, it ain't working. So at this point, people, what they say, desperate times calls for desperate measures. So I think a lot of people voted for Trump because what we had just wasn't working. So we were like, listen, we were just willing to let someone else have a go at it. And he was president before. I personally don't feel like, he did bad the first time he was president. things I felt like was pretty good with the economy leading up to the pandemic. But when the pandemic hit, I don't blame Donald Trump for that. He just happened to be the man in charge at the time when all hell broke loose. So fast forward to today, Donald Trump is tasked with basically fixing all of this, and the question is what he's doing. Are we going in the right direction, or are we regressing? Are we regressing? Are we going backwards? The question: are we going backwards? Wes said he's not doing bad now either. It's a lot, I don't blame Trump for our economy. Like, things was bad when he came in and he took office. Like, things were bad. And so he does have the challenge with trying to get things, I would say, where they were pre-pandemic, because I think pre-pandemic we were in a pretty good place. But it's been a challenge. And then with this whole tariff situation, as I was reading in this article, it's a lot of people are, a lot of businesses, a lot of business owners, they're they don't feel strong. There's this sense of uncertainty as it surrounds their business and making decisions, which is understandable. Because when it comes to these tariffs, when Trump's hit these countries with tariffs, the consumers are the ones who have to absorb the additional costs if we want those items. Now, granted, we have the choice of whether or not we want to buy a particular item. But now when we're contemplating on whether or not we want to buy an item or not, we're factoring in tariffs. Like, is it worth it? Can we afford it? And for many consumers, the answer is going to be no. So for a business owner is going to be like, wow, that's going to impact my bottom line, because I'm going to have fewer yeses. There are going to be fewer people saying yes to purchase my product, which is understandably. A lot of them just can't afford it. They can't afford it. It's going to be some people that's like, listen, I can afford it, but that's crazy work. I'm not going to pay that amount of money. And then you got a lot of people who are like, yo, I just can't afford it. I can't afford to just pay the extra monies to make up for the tariffs. Let me get into some of these comments. Wes says, it hasn't even been 1/4 of his term. The tariffs are good. People just don't understand how tariffs works. We need to buy U.S. only. We have resources and small business here. Here's the thing with that, because I talked a lot about that earlier on when I started covering political content on this channel, tariffs. And I was really, really, really hard on that wave of yes, yes, yes to everything that Donald Trump was doing. We got to support the businesses here. We got to, hit them with these tariffs. But the part that I came to really notice is that, yes, it all sounds good, but over time. And I feel like when the Trump administration came, it was almost like overnight they wanted this drastic change of people to just stop doing business with the other foreigners or the other countries and just do business with the American people. And that's all gravy. But here's the thing. The American businesses, not all of them, a lot of them do not have everything people need as far as to run their businesses. Say, for example, you may have a business and there are certain parts of your business that requires for you to go overseas to get said parts or materials for your business, and then you find here in the US, there aren't any businesses that can provide that particular part or resource. So you're like, listen, I want to do business here in the US 100%, but this little piece that I need for my business, there isn't anyone in the US who can provide that part, that whether it's like a tangible piece or service. So I got to continue to get it elsewhere until a business opens or somebody chooses to go in business to provide this piece that I get from China. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, yes, it sounds good, but over time, not overnight. I just feel like overnight, Trump was just kind of looking for the drastic change for people to kind of move away from doing business from other countries and just doing business 100% in the U.S. And I didn't feel like it was realistic. And to me, from the looks of things, it doesn't seem like it is. And a lot of business owners are saying no, like they've just taken a hit. They've taken a hit. Thomas says we need to materialize green economy solutions where you as quickly and safely as possible. Read Project Drawdown, the most comprehensive plan to reserve climate change. Fish says prices are up. I feel tariffs will push them up. That won't help the job search either. Dan Fry says, we don't make anything in America. We import the vast majority of items, resources. Tariffs are a tax on the American public. And that's what happened, from the 80s. After the 80s, it's like the U.S. moved away from like manufacturing and making things, and we became more of like a service-led type country where it just became basically getting someone else to just do the work for us. And here we are. And as a result of that, a lot of the people in the blue collar, the white collar fields are being impacted. Those people who have all that education, the college degrees and things like that, those jobs where you're using your brain, the service jobs, you're not kind of using your hands. Like those are the jobs that are impacted. Those are the jobs where people went to school, got crazy amount of debts under the pretense that they was going to basically live the American dream, make a lot of money. Y'all know everything. I was one of the people, went to school, got a lot of education. And it was just because that was what that was in there. That was what was pushed on to many people here in the U.S. Go to school, go to college, get a degree, live the American dream, make a lot of money, buy a house, like all of those things. And there are so many people who did go and do all those things, minus the make a lot of money part, minus the buy a house part. So it's like your paper. How many of you have degrees in education and you feel like it's like a paperweight, where it's just like, only thing I have to show forth is just a crazy amount of debt. I don't have a good paying job to back it up. I can't even pay back the student loans that I acquired to get this piece of paper. Like, how many of you, that's your story? How many of you to where you're like, listen, that's my story and I'm doing a job that you don't even need a degree to do. I'm making more money doing this job. It allows for me to pay my bills, but I still have this degree that's doing absolutely nothing for me, nor has it ever done anything for me. But this is what we were told. Like, many of us were told this. We were told this, I myself included. Like, okay, how many of you, like, I'll tell you my story. Like, I went to school, I got the first 2 degrees. Also, I got, first got an associate degree, then I got a bachelor's degree. Then I was like, by the time I finished my bachelor's degree, so it was in business, I was like, I can't afford to pay these student loans back. So this was me, my mind, the way my brain worked in my mid 20s. My brain was, okay, well, I can't afford to pay these student loans back for these 2 degrees, the associate and bachelor's degree. So let me go ahead and work on a 3rd degree. Let me work on a master's degree. Because if I get this master's degree, then I'll be able to make more money. And therefore, then I'll be able to afford to pay back my student loans. I mean, am I the only one that had that thought process? That was legit my thought process. So I got the MBA. I'm like, yo, let me get another degree because, child. Listen, Linda, listen. I did it. I fell for the okie doke like many people. So all it did was just accumulated more student loan debt. It did not add to my bottom line. It did not result in me making more money. It's just something for me to say, oh, I got a master child. Listen, so I know better. So because I know that, I share my story even with my children. My thing is, when it comes to college, do your research. Not every field industry requires for you to have a college degree. Figure it out. Decide on what you want to do and figure out the best way to go about doing it. what's going to be the most cost effective way. Like there's so many ways that you can learn so many things today. Child, they saying AI taking over all the jobs. Hell, go to go to Chat GPT, type in Chat GPT. You can type in anything. It's gonna kick out something. Like AI is here. So again, that's more jobs that are on the line. I was talking to my mom recently. She was telling me that she saw a clip where there was robots in Walmarts. Have any of you all seen robots in Walmarts? Robots. She said it was someone like they were in Walmart and they were like complaining they were being followed by a robot. I live in Georgia, Metro Atlanta. I have not seen them yet. Have any of you all seen robots in Walmart? So apparently the robots are here. I know they're in like Amazon, like they're in businesses and things like that. But word on the curb is that they are in Walmart. And I guess I'm thinking that they're looking out, monitoring theft. I don't know. I just learned about this a day or so about the robots being in Walmart. But I will tell y'all what I was not ready for is the damn lotion being locked up in Walmart. Why is the lotion locked up in Walmart? Why is the lotion locked up in Walmart? Child, I was in Walmart taking my son back to college this weekend. We needed to go to Walmart, do a haul, groceries, all that stuff, toiletries, everything. Son's like, yo, I need lotion. Bet, let's go get lotion. Last thing on the list and get out of here. Why the whole wall of the lotion? Why was the lotion locked up in Walmart behind glass? Like, I'm confused. Locked and key. The lotion, starting from $5 all the way up to the expensive Jergens that he had the audacity to want to buy, which was $7 and some change. All of that was locked up. Literally. So while we were there, I'm like, what the freak is this? Like, and then I remembered I saw someone do like a TikTok or something like that, talking about their experience in Walmart. I hadn't been in Walmart in a long time. For some reason, I just kind of had stopped shopping at Walmart. Not intentionally, I just stopped going. So it had been a long time, prior to the school year starting up that I'd been in Walmart, been like several months. So I had to reflect back on like this TikToker talking about going into Walmart, needing to buy an item that was only maybe like $7. And then someone had to remove it from behind a glass case. And then when they took it out, she was like, okay, can I hold it? And they were like, no, I have to walk it up to the cash register and hand it off to the cashier so they can ring you up for it. So I remembered in this moment, you all, that woman's story on her TikTok. So as I'm at Walmart, so I'm waiting, y'all. So the way it's set up, while you're there, there's like a button you hit and it'll be like this, probably AI robot. Hey, someone will be with you shortly. So you just wait for someone to come and assist you. So while I'm standing there, I see like a camera still looking at me. So mind you, they got everything locked up behind the glass anyway. And they got this camera still watching you. So I'm waiting, you all. I'm waiting for like 15, 20 minutes at least. I'm just like, at this point, my husband ran off to go get some other items. I'm just growing impatient. It's the last thing on the list. And when you think about time and value, $5, $7, to me, it wasn't worth waiting 20 minutes for someone to come and remove something from behind the case. But as I was standing there, was more people walking up and they were looking confused too. It was this one guy and his son, and they probably were doing the same thing as me with the whole, back to school shopping. And he was like, not the lotion locked up. He was like, what the? So I don't know where he's from, but my son is at school a couple of hours away from where we live. So I was an out of towner, but I don't know. I'm assuming my Walmart is the same way, but I hadn't been in my Walmart. But the guy was shook and he was like, so what we supposed to do? I'm like, well, there's this button. You can try hitting the button. I've already hit it. Finally, this one little lady, comes in. She's like, I was out on lunch. Sorry, y'all. She the only person apparently in the whole Walmart with the key because she said she was at lunch. So finally she came. She opens up the glass, hands me the little $5 face cream I wanted for my son, the damn near $8 Jergens that my son had to have. I don't know why he had that one. So then she goes on to say, okay, so she's looking. She was like, well, is this the only thing you have And I'm looking like, well, yeah, mind you, I had a cart full of other stuff, but it was kind of out the way because I didn't want it in the aisle. So I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, I was kind of confused by her question. So she was like, well, I trust you. I'm just going to give it to you and you can take it up to the front. So I'm thinking like, what the hell she means? She was going to walk it up there. But then you all had to reflect back to the TikToker who talked about how when she was in Walmart, how the associate has to hold the item for you to walk it personally up to the cash register to hand off to the cashier. But the lady was so backed up because remember, she said she was on her lunch. So she was backed up with people waiting on her to assist them. So she handed off the two products to me, the lotion and the face cream or whatever, for me to just go to check out, on my own. But the normal process, you all, would have been this woman having to accompany me with the product in her hand to the cash register. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So that has me I walked away saying it will be a longer time before I will be making my way into Walmart. Because if that's the experience to get something like lotion, why do I want to sign up for that when I can just go elsewhere, just pick it up out of the grocery store, out of the CVS, the Walgreens, whatever. I'm not trying to go and do that again. So I will not, if I need lotion, those type of things, Walmart is not going to be the place that I'm going to get those things because that's a major inconvenience. But I say all this to say with telling the story, is this because theft has gone up so much because of inflation, people being without jobs? Like someone was recently telling me a story about like some teenagers, some girls or something that got caught boosting, which is also another term for like stealing and things like that. And people in the comments, they said we're going in about parents not teaching them right or whatever. But my initial thought went to the state of the economy, the U.S. economy. Are people out here doing these things more because of they feel like think about like crime. Y'all ever see they say crime is driven by like the poverty levels. So the lower the poverty level, the higher the crime, because it's kind of like people a lot of times do things out of a survival where they're like, okay, I need this. There isn't a job for me to go work to earn the money so I can get these things. So I got to do what I got to do. So if that means I got to go bust heads, I got to do what I got to do. So when this person was telling me the story about the young kids and stealing and things like that, I just got to thinking about the economy, learning about people going without jobs. So these children, these teenagers, mom and dads and things like that, losing their jobs, no longer having the funds to get them certain things. And no, it's not right, but it has me to wonder, like, there's some of these kids that they're turning to, okay, I'm in need, I need these things, mom, dad, whoever can no longer get them for me, so I got to figure out how to get to them myself. So they're turning to crime. And no, it's not bad, and I do not condone it, but I'm just trying to rationalize what is going on here. And I think that what we'll see is that as the unemployment numbers, if it continues to go up, to me, it makes sense that we would see an increase in crimes, an increase in violent acts like robbery. Because what happens when somebody don't have, guess what? What they come and look and they try to take yours, right? They come and take yours. So that's why I'm a believer in is it the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms? Like, I'm a believer in that. And as people are starting to go through these tough times, or as people will go through tough times, they're going to start to, desperate times calls for desperate measures. If they ain't got it and they see you got it, they're going to be like, she or he got what I need. She or he got what I need. And they will be willing to risk it all to get it. So you have to stay vigilant. You have to keep your head on swivel. You have to be aware. You can't be in denial about the situation that's going on right now with the world and with the economy. I'll say that. Vigilant. Thank you, Tom. That's more. You have to be vigilant because it's hard out here for so many people, and people right now they're willing to do whatever to get whatever it is that they feel like they may need, whether it be for themselves, their children. Like, people will do all kinds of stuff for whatever reason. They will rationalize in their mind, even like I said, these kids who are stealing, like anybody who's on some type of crazy, they will rationalize in their mind a reason as to why they got to do it, why they had to do it. Even though me or you sitting on the side like, you did all that for that, but in their mind, they didn't came up with a reason as to why it made sense for them to do that. Marissa said, yes, crime is going up. Working class people are going to suffer. Elderly, all of society. It will cause desperation in a whole of society. Yeah. Somebody who gets it. So that's why I feel like with the Trump administration right now, when it comes to this homelessness and them, I think he just wrote an executive order centered around it. I feel like what he's trying to do is to get in front of what they know is to come, as it when it comes to this homeless situation, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So his thing is like, okay, we know that many people are going to find themselves outside because they're not going to be able to pay their rent or even their car notes. Where are they going to go? It's likely they're going to be on the streets. And if our streets are already what they are right now, which is bad, horrible, it's going to be that much worse. So we have to put some things in place that will stop them from considering the streets as an option. Because basically what the Trump administration is saying is like, listen, the streets is no longer an option. Having a tent city is no longer an option. It's not an option. It's not an option. So we need to enforce these laws, because as we seen at the press conference, Carol B. Lyon Levitt said, listen, Trump is just enforcing laws and things that was already in place. Like, he ain't writing nothing new. These laws were already in place that said you can't be on the streets like this. You need to go to a rehabilitation center to get treatment for your mental illness, drugs, alcohol, all of that. But living on the streets, creating these tent cities, there's already laws in place that says that is not an option, but no one had been adhering to those laws. And I truly believe the reason why our government hadn't been really enforcing those laws is because the government knows that they have not done the best that they can for the American people. I believe our government feels like they know they haven't done the best they can, especially for our vets. I feel like they know that our veterans, because a large majority of a lot of people who are homeless on the streets are vets. There is no way, like, make it make sense how somebody can fight for our country, serve our country, and then they end up home. Like, it doesn't make sense. And given that there are so many vets that are on the streets, it lets you know that there is a problem. It's a systematic problem. It's a systematic problem because a lot of these people came out of the military with mental health issues. I promise you, I don't know anybody who done spent a day in the military who ain't collecting some type of check right now from the military because of some type of disability. I don't even know, y'all. Y'all let me know in the comments if any of you are a vet. Is it even possible to be in the military and come up out of the military without some type of disability? Whether you're either A, physically disabled, where you done lost a limb or something ain't working right, it ain't working the way it used to work when you went up in there, or B, your mentals are impacted. C, both. Any of y'all do not fall in any of them categories? Sean says, no, the military will destroy your life. So those of you who are new to my channel, hey, welcome. My name is Chic. My channel, Chic Speaks. My background is clinical mental health counseling. I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. So I used to work at a mental health hospital here in Atlanta. And I would see patients who were vets, and they would just talk about, I remember one guy, he came in and he was meeting with me, and I was just talking with him, doing treatment plans and all of that. And he had his file that he travels with, and it was maybe about like that thick. And he told me about how being in the military, how it impacted his mind, which is why he, finds himself in and out of the mental health facility. And he said that as a result of his mind being gone, he lost his family, he lost his children. He collects a check. But he said that he would trade that check any day to have his life back, to be able to have his family, his wife, his children, because this is gone. And I talk about it all the time on the channel. Once this breaks down, the rest starts to break down. This is broken down. So you have these people who are coming out of the military. This is broken down. The resources aren't there to help these people to heal from the traumas, the things that they endured while being in the military. So their life ends up being what it is. It goes left. They homeless, get on drugs, like all kinds of stuff. I'm a root cause person. I'm a root cause all day long. And I believe that the government, the reason why up until now they hadn't been kind of enforcing these laws that President Trump is enforcing, as far as with physically having these people removed and threatened to arrest them and all of that, is because the government knows they're guilty. They know they have not done right by these people. So in their mind, for the government, they're like, well, the least we can do is just let them live in peace the best they can, on the streets, because we know we didn't do right with them. We know that we didn't have services in place for when they came home to help them, as far as with counseling and things like that. We know that. We know we didn't have services in place that would help them more easily transition into civilian life, because that's what you call the opposite of military life, is going to be civilian life. We know that we didn't have the necessary programs and things in place to transition them into civilian life, so therefore they can get a civilian job, be equipped to pay rent. Because a lot of times, y'all, people in the military, they don't pay full price on anything. They're living on base. Like, life is real different. Like, people a lot of times join military for the benefits. It ain't because they just want to be out there going to shoot them up, bang, bang. It's the benefits. But what I'm talking about is the downside of it all. The benefits is the ups, like, discounts on just everything for life. Your McDonald's coffee, your house, your cars, you shopping at Lowe's, Home Depot. Like, it's the benefits, college, the benefits. But listen, you all, do you all think that the trade out is worth it? So let me ask this question. Let me know in the comments. Knowing what you know, so you get all these benefits, housing, discounts on the house, cars, goods, products, all of that, all lifetime discounts. So that's the perk, the pros. But you also know that going into the military, child, you already know that this right here finna be all effed up. You finna be depressed, PTSD. You got to sleep with one eye open, one eye shut. Somebody can't walk up on you from the back because you gonna be. Listen, y'all know how it is when you dealing with somebody who was in the military, where they nerves just shot. It is very evident that they collected a check or they need to collect a check. Either the person is collecting a check or they need to collect a check. It ain't no question. If you know what you know, would you still be willing to sign up to be in the military to be set up for the financial benefits, which is the discounts? Because here's the thing, if this right here is gone, you can't even keep it together to get to the place to get those benefits and things like that. You see what I'm saying? Because this is gone. You can't even think straight. So I think that the government knows that they failed our people. So that's why they haven't aggressively gone at them like President Trump is going at them. But President Trump is just like, bump that. Listen, we got to get these streets clean. It's only going to get worse. So listen, we about to enforce these laws. Either you want to get yourself together, get in this treatment program, or no. And if your answer is no, and you trying to return to the street, you will be arrested. That's what Caroline Levitt said on the press conference. We went over it, I think, on my part 1 live, because YouTube done messed around with my live today. So this is part 2 for those of you who are just now joining this live. Check out part 1. But this is the situation. This is the situation that we're in. So I feel like, Trump's like, listen, we got to get ahead of it because it is only going to get worse. Have you all completed the survey? Complete the survey. I have a survey going. Let me do it up. Let me see what's going on. The question of the night is, do you agree with the Trump administration? The economy/job market is on the rise. 41% says yes. 48% says no, 12% says not sure. So it's pretty much almost like almost in the middle as far as some people say yes is on the rise, some say no. Uh, it may be subjective. It depends on also like where you live, how the job market is where you live. Because I would imagine some areas, some zip codes, some states, the job market is better than others. Also, some industries. So it's just different variables that you have to take into an account. Waldemar said, my dad did 25 years and we never had to want for anything. My mother is still being supported by my dad even after he died. So there are a lot of people go into the military for the benefits. When I was younger, a teenager, and I had aspirations of going into the military, that is what my reasoning was centered around. It was nothing. It was for nothing. It had nothing to do with wanting to fight for the country. No, child, that was not. It was for the benefits. It was probably mainly for college. I wanted to have my education paid for because I knew at a young age, hey, college wasn't free. I would have to have student loans. Otherwise, the alternative would be going into the military, staying in military 2 to 4 years, and then paying for it. So that was my plan. I ended up, by the time I graduated high school, I did ROTC in high school for the first 2 years. I moved away from that just because when I moved to Georgia, the school I graduated from, they didn't offer ROTC on campus, so I couldn't do it the last 2 years I was there. So the thoughts about going into the military kind of just left me and just kind of went away. I am happy about that. I do not regret, not going into the military because of the things that I know now. And as I talk to you all about, mental health, mental illness, like I said, that is my background. That's what my education is in. There's no benefits that's worth impacting my mental health. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I have yet to meet someone whose mental health was not impacted. Waldemar, you talked about your dad's experience. What was his condition, his mental and physical condition like in his last days, or just as a result of coming out of the military? Did he have some things going on with him? So it's like you have to think about it. Was it worth it? Waldemar says, my dad served in the Korean War and never experienced PTSD. That is great to hear. PTSD is just one of many mental illness. I know people who experience depression. So that's just one of many. It's probably going to be probably the most common mental illness that someone will have who experience serving in the military. But there's a number of different mental illnesses I've learned about in school. That's just one that's probably the more common mental illness that the average person is aware of. But there are a lot. So what they say, you take the good with the bad, but it comes down to like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? So I am definitely happy about my decision to not go into the military, and it wasn't anything that I pushed for any of my 3 children. Now, what I will say, if you are somebody, and I know people, I've talked to people, and they've all been men who came from like neighborhoods and things like that, where it was kind of tough, or daddy wasn't around, like he should have been. And the alternative was the street life. So they were like, yo, Sheik, the alternative was me going to prison, me being 6 feet under, or me going into the military. So I chose to go into the military. So I've heard multiple people, all men, say that it was their reason why they went into the military. I do feel like of the 3 options, the military makes the most sense. Listen, there's levels to this thing. The military all day before prison, all day. All day. So then your options, street life or military, baby, you need to go pick you a branch. Go pick you a branch. Go pick you a branch. So, yeah, we just got to just be strategic, be wise, do our research. Sean says, I'm here telling you that the military doesn't mess your head up. The military teaches you to handle that pressure better. Okay. He says, NYC Rex says, people need proper health care, affordable housing, free education, not the military or joining ICE, right? It's crazy that to get those things, those are some options that you have to entertain. Desmond says, I worked at a hotel and this dude's wife cheated on him. He came back and somehow got his money from the assets they had. Yeah, people in the military, they have really high divorce rates. But, think about it. One partner's gone a lot being deployed and the other partner's at home. So makes sense to me. Very unfortunate, but I understand how that works. Desmond says he used to drink every day and had bad mental health, but was smart. It was weird. He was a sniper too. Dorsey said the reason your dad didn't have PTSD is because he lived through the Great Depression and World War II. He saw a lot of chaos and death. Fish said my dad had no visible effects, worked as an engineer and lived to 95. That is great, Fish. Let's see. Letzi says, are they going to be looking for the Epstein files? That is the question. Epstein, I tell you all, like some people get mad and they think the Epstein files, oh, it's not that serious, chic or whatever. And I'm like, how you can tell how serious this situation is with the Epstein files is when you go on any news outlet, any of them, pick your favorite one, get into the comments. Get into the comments. A large number of the comments are centered around Epstein files, if not most of the comments. A large majority of the comments, a large number of the comments are centered around Epstein files. I do not feel like the current administration will release the files. Will we ever see them? I don't know. I personally don't feel like we will see them while President Donald J. Trump is in office. Sean says Americans have high divorce rates, not just military. Yes, Americans do have high divorce rates. I would just remember as a young girl just hearing about just military having the high divorce rates. But yes, Americans does have high divorce rates. Janice says, that's bullish. My son is not the same since he did 3 tours in Afghanistan. He has PTSD and is mentally disabled. Listen, y'all, talk, tell y'all testimony because, listen, I, from my experience, what I've seen, 100% of the people that I have met and encountered who've served in the military have mental health challenges. Most of them actually don't have really a physical disability. They may have some, but pretty much 100% mental. This is just, they're functioning now. They work jobs, but they're collecting a little extra check and they're acknowledging like, listen, I deal with depression. I deal with people, like they talk about the mental disabilities that they do deal with, and even their kids have said to me like, yeah, daddy got some stuff going on. Mama just ain't really all the way there like that, but they're able to go to work. Just because somebody is struggling with mental illness doesn't mean that they can't be a functioning adult, meaning like go to work, be responsible, things like that. So even as I'm telling you all these stories, all the cases, everyone has a very good job. Homeowners live very well, but they're able to speak on the fact that this isn't the same. Their partners are able to co-sign that, yeah, they ain't all the way there like that. They good people. I love them, but they got some stuff going on. So but we're going to have, the cases where some people say, well, hell, my loved one didn't have anything going on, but it's a numbers thing. So if we really kind of broke it out and created a pie and separated the people who have things going on with them, in that pie, where would the vast majority of the people fall? Would they fall into the portion of having mental or physical disability, or would they fall into the portion of they just Gucci? They're fine. They don't need an extra check for nothing. I personally think that most people are going to fall into the part of the pie where they have a mental health disability and or a physical disability. So Karen says, I pray for our military always. I do too, and I pray for better days for just American people, and with this homelessness situation. Given that right now with President Trump, the way they're pushing it's like, listen, you either got the option of getting help or you're going to jail. I just hope that the vast majority of these people are just going to be open for getting help. And I hope that the help that they're going to receive is going to be real help, where it's helping them not only overcome their addictions, drug, alcohol addictions, but also helping them with housing, helping them with job placements. Because think about it. If regular people who regular, not, I mean, not, I don't want to say regular. If you're everyday person who goes to a 9 to 5 is losing their job and now is unemployed, and a large number, what they're saying right now, 25% of the people who are unemployed have been unemployed for at least 6 months. Throw the people who are homeless into that number, because right now they're not calculating that number, because child, they're not reporting nothing to nobody, so those people aren't factored into that number. So throw those people now who then got themselves cleaned up and it's like, yo, bet I'm ready to get in the job market. Wouldn't that make the numbers increase more? Because I'm thinking right now, the people, the vast majority of the people who are homeless right now, they're not factored into the unemployment. Because I would think to be factored into the unemployment numbers, you're having to kind of be in the system to be reporting something. So a lot of these people have like been on the streets for like years. A lot of these people have been on the streets for years. So my thing is, when they get themselves cleaned up and ready to kind of get back out there, what is that experience going to be like? Because now it's like you got those people who haven't maybe worked in, let's just say, 5 years or more. They're cleaned up. We're trying to figure out what kind of skills they got. And then you got them competing against people who have consistently worked up until they were laid off maybe 6 months or a year ago. You see what I'm saying? So it just makes it that much worse. It just makes it that much worse. Dango says, you have to understand America is now losing money, so money that we, so that's the money we spend. It needs to be high in quick return. The name says you do have to file unemployment to be considered unemployed, and obviously homeless aren't filed. So with that being said, they're not tracked. So once these people get off the streets, let's just say if you got 50% of them that are like, okay, I'm going to accept the services you're offering to help me get cleaned up, get a job. Now these people are kind of going to be competing or in the, for jobs with these other people who have consistently work. Y'all see, it's just like more people that's being added into that situation. So I still think it's best, yes, they get kind of shift to that, that group versus going to jail. Because right now, Caroline said, listen, the alternative is they're going to be arrested, but you can no longer be on the streets. Waldemar says, I've only been unemployed a week in my 45 years of working. That's awesome. Yep, I've been unemployed twice from layoffs. The first one, just as quick as I got laid off, I think by the time I collected my first unemployment check, I had a job lined up. So that was in maybe 2003. And then the second time was 2011. And that was like for 1 year, like exactly 1 year. So praise God, that was the last time I've been laid off. So, but yeah, it's nothing I wished on anyone. Nothing at all, especially if you have a family. The first time I was laid off, I was still single, not married, no kids. The second time, married with kids. So, but it did make a difference, the fact that I was married. So I did have income coming in from my husband, unemployment, retirement, money, 401k, just monies and things like that I'd saved from when I was working, things like that. So it did help to get us through for the year of me not working. But it's tough. It's tough. I don't wish it on anyone. I don't wish it on anyone. But we just got to be realistic of what's going on right now. And Trump is like, listen, they doing the absolute most in DC, and we got to fix it. So I'm like, Is it really that bad in DC? On my first live, I had a poll asking, should Trump have the 850 officers and agents in DC to fight against crime? That was the question on that poll. And it was almost like half and half, where people were like yes and no. And this poll, let's see, this poll, my second poll on this second live, part 2 of the live. Do you agree with the Trump administration? The economy, job market is on the rise. 42% says yes. 47% says no. 11% says not sure. So it seems like right now, normally, like when I'll do these polls, like it'll be more of a drastic change between the yeses and the nos. But tonight, when it comes to Trump and what he's doing in DC, it seems like it's almost like people are kind of divided, kind of in the middle. So that's very interesting. But I like to do these polls, they're fun. I can only do them when I'm sitting at my laptop. If I'm on the go, child, can't do no poll. I can only do the polls when I am stationary. So I do appreciate you all for participating in the poll. And I'd appreciate you even more if you can double tap the screen to like the video. But thank you all for being here. It's a lot going on. I like to go live just to do a temperature check to see how people really are feeling, because you see all the headlines and the news and all of that, and they're saying, okay, crime is bad. Then you got the other news outlets saying, no, it's not. So I'm like, okay, let me just go live, create my own little poll and see what the people are saying. Like, is it really that bad out there? Because I don't live in DC. I just visited DC for the first time in April with my family, and I loved it. Like, I had walked away with nothing bad to say about it. I mean, it was expensive. But as far as just like the people, like the vibe, like I was like, I can do this. I can do this. So then now, fast forward to August, 4 months later, it's just like they're talking about how bad it is. It's like, what? It's like that. I was just there. That's not the vibe that I was getting. I loved it. Me and my husband was like, oh my God, like, baby, like compared to Atlanta, like we was just like, wow, this is cool. Like, y'all, I really felt like I can do DC. Like, y'all, low key, I really felt like I could do DC. Like, I can call DC home. Like, that's what I felt. But now I'm just like, well, we not in the parts that they talking about. Did we not go on the other side? So if you want to know how my experience was in DC, check out my boots on the ground videos. They're posted on this channel back in April. And I think 3 days I covered just boots on the ground in DC. So, and you can probably, check out and see where I was and be like, okay, you wasn't over there. You was in DC, but you wasn't in DC. Creed 3 Kids says we went in April also. It was amazing. Yes, I loved it. It was on my bucket list to go to DC. So I was happy I went, took the kids. Amazing. So much history, so much to see. Definitely wanted to circle back around with just me and the hubs. But yeah, now with all this going on, I'm just trying to understand what's really going on there. P3 says, sounds like you think the New York subways are safe. I've only been to New York once when I was a kid. I enjoyed New York coming from California. At that time, I lived in California still, and I visited New York to visit an aunt and some cousins, and it was so opposite of California as far as this pace. It was so fast, I felt, and I really enjoyed just the fastest, like how fast it was, just the hustle and bustle of it all. Like, I was like about 12, 13, and that was my memory. I've never gone back as an adult. I would like to go back as an adult. My husband doesn't really desire to have to go to New York. I think just because of just with the crime, everything, he's like, no, I want to go for the shows, like the Broadway shows, the restaurants and things like that. So that's why I would like to go. But yeah, he does not, that is not on his bucket list. He does not need to go to go to New York, but I would like to go to New York. I would definitely like to go to New York and check it out. But I'm not as confused by New York and their crime as I was with DC's, because I went to DC and I felt perfectly fine, felt safe. But New York, baby, let's just say I won't be going to New York without my husband. So if he like, yo, I ain't never going to that place, then I guess I ain't going either. Because baby, I'm not going there as, no woman without no man, no muscle. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. On the run says major crimes are slightly down according to convictions. What's not being counted is juvenile crime as well as catch and releases. It's still one of the worst cities crime wise in the country. C says, what is the murder rate there? You can find nice places in all the worst places. Yeah, everybody had a, I guess there's what they say, the good and the bad with everything. Dorsey says, Los Angeles, California. I love LA. Yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. So I'm from the other parts, Northern California. My battery on. And yeah, it's everywhere has their I live in Georgia, outside of Atlanta. I don't live in the city of Atlanta. But yeah, I don't be just chilling in Atlanta or like that. Typically I'll only be in Atlanta at night if I'm there for like a show or concert or something. Chris Brown concert will be here in Atlanta August 31st. So I don't even think that's not even Atlanta. I think it's not even in the city of Atlanta. So usually I'm only in Atlanta for a concert or show or something like that. But otherwise, I don't be in Atlanta like that. Not at night, at least. Just because there is no need for what? For what? Out here in Georgia, they got a saying. Only thing that's open after midnight is Legs and Waffle House. Listen, that's just what they say out here in the South. Only thing open after midnight is Legs and Waffle House. So I have no reason to be outside in them streets during them hours. P3 says catch and release should make parents accountable. I do think parents should be accountable for their children's poor behavior. I think that if there was more accountability put on the parents, they would enforce more good behaviors. You know what I'm saying? I think they would push that. Hey, you need to do right. You need to go to school. You need to do this more. If they knew or believed that there will be consequences, negative consequences onto them if their child did said things. And I think if that was pushed more, I think we would see it would be a difference when it comes to just the energy that the kids put out there. They need to understand that what you're doing, it doesn't just impact you. I have to tell my children, what you do, it doesn't only impact you. It impacts me, dad, like the family. It impacts us too. We're responsible for you. So we really, really drive that home with them. We have to do that. P3 says, like multiple occurrences, not just a mess up. Kids will be kids, but you have to take accountable considering we have laws for our pets. Yes. So you're right. I mean, it's just accountability. You have to, teach them about accountability. There's consequences. There are consequences to poor behaviors. Will says, parents are afraid of the children these days. I was angry watching a child smack a cell phone from his mom's hand on YouTube. Yeah. Boundaries. It starts there. As I always say, if a child doesn't respect their parents, then you might as well hang it up if you think they're going to respect you. Especially like, if you're a coach, you're a teacher, and you see how these children engage with their parents, I'm sure it's very telling. You're like, oh, I see why he or she, acts the way they act, because look what I'm witnessing between mom and dad. Because I know, as I've been raising my 3 children, and when I've kind of sat down before teachers and things over the years, they often say, hey, it makes sense why your children's temperament is what it is, because they're seeing my husband and I in the energies and what we're giving, and they're constantly saying, oh, okay, I get it. It makes sense why they're well behaved, why they do this, why they do that. So those things make a difference. You have to teach your children. You have to guide them. You have to be the example. You have to be an example, because your child, listen, they sure will embarrass the hell out of you. I'm not exempt from that. Oh, they will embarrass you. They will definitely embarrass you. So listen, we gotta teach them. We have to teach them. But yeah, we covered a lot today. Listen, don't forget, ICE is hiring. If you are looking for a job, check out ICE Go to the website. You do not have to just be boots on the ground. They're accepting. They have all kinds of positions. So you need a job, go holla at ICE. People who are homeless, hopefully the resources are real and it's not just saying, hey, get off the streets, and they're not doing what they said they're going to do as far as with helping these people out, with providing them some place where they can go rest and lay their head. Because it's one thing to say, hey, you got to get off the streets, but like, where are we going? Where are the people going? Where are the people going? DC, be vigilant, keep your head on swivel, pay attention. Lisa says, do not join ICE. Lisa said, don't join ICE. William says, the word can't be wrong when it says train a child, and the word can be wrong when it says train a child in a way they should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from their way. Got to start early. I truly, truly believe that you got to start early. And what's happening, what I've seen, a lot of people have not raised their children in that manner. It's like the kids are run amok, and when they're about 12, 13, at that point, they're wanting to try to kind of put some law down, rules and regulations, and the kids like, whatever, who you talking to, and now trying to put hands and feet on the parents. So, Don, you say, yes, they removed the upper age limit. Yes, they did. They removed the upper age limit for ICE workers. So get into it. Google ICE is hiring, and the information is going to come up. It's not hard to find that information. If you are interested, you see what they're talking about. If you need a job, here's the thing. If you need a job, they're hiring. They're looking to hire at least 10,000 workers. The money has been budgeted in. It was a part of that big, beautiful bill. So the money is there. So listen, a lot of people are unemployed. People need jobs. People need jobs. Omar says 90% of under 16 in jail here in UK came from single parent households. Mom and dad household is important. Yeah. I am an advocate for a 2-parent household. I see how it makes a difference. Statistically, children who are part of a 2-parent household fare out better in life, just with everything, versus a child coming, being raised in a 1-parent household. So it does make a difference. Most of my life was made, I would say, maybe half my life raised in a 1-parent household. I had a stepfather, so for a good portion of my life. But I was able to see, the struggles with the families, when it was just my mom and 4 kids. So I strategically made decisions to marry, have children, do all that. So I wouldn't do it, but I have to do it by myself and just yield a different result. So that's what it's about. When you know better, what you do better. When you know better, you do better. We are our life experiences. So it shapes us into who we are, our experiences. So we covered a lot. I thank you so much. You all, if you just joining in, check out my part 1 of the live, because YouTube was playing with me. They interrupted it. So I don't know why. What did I say? I don't know. They interrupted it. I was talking about these numbers, these jobs. Like, y'all, these unemployment numbers is looking like this, but they saying this, child. Next thing you know, I got down to about 27 people watching, and it was in the hundreds. So I was like, that's how I'm about to start up another live. Yes, I am. I'm going to start it up again. So I started up that second live. So here we are. So definitely check out part 1, the first live. I have to go back and title it part 1, because this is part 2. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the video. Yes, so on this channel, I just talk about political content. Let me see, was there anything else? Remember, Benny Johnson. How many of y'all know who the big content creator Benny Johnson is? Benny was like, listen, I used to live in DC. Them folks there straight robbed me for my vehicle, set my house on fire with me, my wife, and my baby up in there. The police had to come in there, break the door down to help rescue me, my wife, and my baby to get us out. So damn it, Trump, I'm here with you. Yes to the 850 officers and agents in DC. So that is his testimony. That is his testimony. Chic, not Chicago. What did I say? Should mention Chicago sub. Chicago has a good vibe. Oh, you say Thanks, Pt.2 for subscribing. Chicago's on my bucket list of places to go. I want to go because for the food. I love food. I'm a foodie, so I'm small. I appreciate food, some certain foods. In Chicago, I've always heard about how it has great, amazing food. So I really want to go for the food. But y'all, outside of food, I be hearing to be going down in Chicago. Like, listen, they still call it Chirac. Do they still call it Chirac? I just want to go give me a hot dog and pizza slice. Hell on. That's all. That's all I want. That's all I want. A hot dog and a pizza slice. But I do want to go to Chicago, so that is someplace I want to go. But yeah, I don't think that would be a family trip for me. It'll probably just be me and my husband. But I want to get to Chicago and check it out because I've heard some good things about Chicago, but mostly it's centered around the food. I'm just gonna listen. It ain't the politics. It's the food. It's the food. But yes, on that note, I need to let y'all good people go. I normally do car chronicles. So if you're new to this channel, usually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'll do car chronicles. So that's in the morning. I do that on my ride into the office. So that'll usually be at like 7 o'clock, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But this week I'm home for the week, so I'm not driving into office. So that's why we did the late evening live. The evening live. So I did want to still go live because there's just a lot going on. So I didn't want to let too much kind of pop off to where when I come out here and talk about some things, it's just like so much. So right now, the highlight, DC. I'm continuing to watch DC to see how things go there. The local, is she the mayor? I can't remember her name, the black woman. She's the mayor. She's like, listen, we gonna do what we gonna do. We gonna support. We gonna do whatever the Trump administration wants us to do. The name, thank you, the name, thank you so much. Hope you're subscribed to the channel. But the DC, I think she's the mayor. No, she probably would be the good. What is she? The mayor? Mayor Browser. What's the lady name? What's her title? Y'all know who I'm talking about? The black woman over in DC. Is she the mayor? She spoke out and she basically was just saying she didn't feel like things were that bad that warranted, the mayor. See me say, yeah, the mayor. She didn't think things were that bad to warrant Trump coming in deep like that. But she's like, listen, we're gonna support, do whatever we can or whatever. So I mean, I think that was probably a good response for her to have. I mean, what do you do? Like, they pull rank, right? Like, what do you do? I mean, what can she do? He's the president. So we'll see. I'm going to continue to watch it, come back to you all, report on some other shenanigans that's going on in the world of politics here in the U.S. Yeah, just looking at some of these comments. So before we get out of here, let me look once more at our survey. We've had 416 people complete the survey. Do you agree with Trump administration? The economy and job market is on the rise. 43% yes, 45% no, 12% not sure. So it's almost like cut in the middle. So yeah, just continue to stay tapped in, pay attention, follow the data, move around. And don't forget, I always say, get into the comments on your on these videos. Get into the comments to see what the people are really saying, how the people are feeling, because I find more helpful information when I get in the comments and really, hear how people are feeling about just said topics and things like that, because that's really telling me. Because a lot of these, like the mainstream media, like they're bought and paid for, so they're paid to kind of push a certain narrative. But when you get in the comments, these are like the real people like us, and they're like, yo, I ain't had no job in X amount of time, or they like, I'm good, everybody working over here. Like, you really can kind of see what's really going on with people, and not just go off of the narrative of what the news is putting out. William Smith said, just subbed and liked. Very adult, respectful, and refreshing channel. Thank you so much. Thank you. We try over here. We try to keep it cute over here. I welcome everyone's opinion. Just be respectful. It's the little things, and hit the like button. I don't know, today y'all did me dirty with the likes, but it's okay. It's okay. I didn't hit 100 likes, but it is okay. We have definitely seen better days. Desmond says, you're cool. You got a sub. Thank you, Desmond. We've seen better days. But listen, I just come out here and talk my talk on my little piece of the little internet. Road to 6,000 subscribers. We're growing. We're growing very fast. Like we just hit 5,000 not that long ago. We're growing very fast over here. So I do thank you so much. It's the little things. If you don't give me a like, if you at least just watch the content, listen, I'll take what I can get. Any type of support, liking the video, just watching the content. These are free things. Super chat, if you want to send it, it shows up in color so I can see. A lot of times it'll be like 1,000. Sometimes y'all, I don't know, tonight was like, I think YouTube is kind of messing with my numbers and stuff, so it was a slower night, but it can get crazy in the chat and be in 1,000, so it can be hard for me to see everyone's comments. So if you ever have a comment and you're like, yo, I got something I want her to see, I want her to read my comment, you can do a super chat for as little as $1.99, but it's going to show in color, so it'll pop and I can read it. So just so you know that. Also, I do have memberships on this channel. We have the Temu price, the $2.99 Temu price to become a political honor student. So your name would also show up in color and also be prioritized with your comments in the chat. So there's some little things because, like I said, this was a lightweight night. If you know, you know. Those of you who have been over here to my platform before on other nights, it can get crazy, yo. It can get crazy up in here. So, and I don't even think tonight I had any moderators in here. That never happens. But like I said, normally I go live in the mornings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but not this week. Oh, I got a first super chat for tonight. Thank you so much. Who is that? Boba Fox, Trump, grapes, kids. Listen, so my thing is, I'm not going to even argue with you on that one because I feel like there is a reason why these Epstein files have not been released. I talked about it on multiple lives as far as with the different people who have come out with their story, their testimony, as far as their experience with Trump, with Epstein and all of that. We've covered it all. We just didn't go into that on this particular live, but I'm sure the last live we did. We talk about Trump and all these crazy allegations against him quite often over here. And I happen to believe where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know what Trump has or has not done, but what I do know is that he's working very, very hard for certain information to not be revealed. He's working very hard for certain information to not be revealed. And so with that being said, we're seeing a lot of other things take place. We might call it deflection. I don't know, but there's a lot of other things going on. But still, regardless of all the things that we are seeing going on, I say get into the comments of your favorite content creators that's talking about the Trump administration, and you will see people are still asking about the Epstein files. Even in Caroline Leavitt's press conference, go back, check it out. We did not watch the entire press conference. We watched some of it, but there was a question centered around the Epstein files. And basically they're like, listen, we asked for the files. The judge said, no, listen, we done our part. Like, listen, they're like, listen, we done our part. We asked, they said no. So any other questions you got, you need to take it to the DOJ, period. So I think the Trump administration basically just wanted to show like, listen, we tried. we tried it. And, but it's still not enough. The people aren't, people aren't falling for it. And it seemed like a lot of people are looking for him to, what do you call that? What do you call that with the with Ghislaine Maxwell? Pardon her. People are looking for him to pardon her on his way out. Do you all? That's a question. I need to put that. Maybe that'll be the next poll question for the next live. Do you think Trump will pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? Let's put that in the chat. Yes to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell or no to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? Put that in the chat. What do y'all think? Yes or no? Do you think he'll pardon her? Constantly, yeah. I don't know. It's like, I don't think that he's going to do it anytime soon because all eyes are on him. But on his way out, I don't know. He could. I mean, he's already moved her around to a more cushioned prison. So I think he's doing what he can to appease her. And listen, questions, 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 a lot of questions, a lot of questions. So over here, I always say, hey, when she has questions, she goes live. So when I go live, y'all, I be having questions. That's where these polls come from, because I be having questions. I do not proclaim have all the answers, but I do have questions like many of you. I have questions. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to come out here on the internet and talk about it with many of you who also have questions. And together we try our best to try to figure this issue out. But many a nights we still leave the live confused. But I will say you will leave knowing more than what you did. How about that? How about that? So on that note, make sure you have your notification bell, and so you know when I go live. Um, I don't have really a schedule on a time other than my Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the morning. But just make sure you're subscribed over here so you get the notification, and just be a part of the replay gang. And don't be afraid, leave a comment on the video if you are part of the replay gang, or even after the live end and you want to keep the conversation going. Drop a comment. You all are very active in my lives, but not so much after the videos post. So drop a comment. But it's just the little things. I appreciate you just simply watching the content, just watching it. That's more than enough support for me. It's just to watch the content, and yeah, just engage. Just engage. So on that note, I like to end by saying, you all go out into the world, show up in a way in which you want others to show up for you. Like attracts like. Give off good energy. Just be nice. Be nice. Just be nice. It's the little things. It's the little things. But protect your peace. Take care of yourself. We are out here taking care of everybody, you all, and no one's taking care of us. So we have to take care of ourselves. Remember, we got to keep this strong. We got to keep this strong, because when this breaks down, all else breaks down. Keep that in mind. So on that note, Matt says, just be nice is good advice. Like I say, it's the little things over here. One thing you all will come to see over here is I am very simple. Very simple. I like to have a good time, laugh, smile, and it's so much going on that can have you to cry. So when you come over here, I want this to be a place to where it's just like you can kind of leave your sorrows and have a good laugh, a good kiki on something crazy that I said. But I promise you, the news that I report on is never lies. I may deliver it in a way that you ain't never heard it delivered before, but it is on truth. It is based on truth. It is based on truth. So on that note, thank you so much. Like the video, share, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next broadcast.